Happy Monday, Fumble fam. Thanks so much for tuning in today. We are breaking down the latest news from the weekend. We have some funny updates about Paul Pierce that Jackie's going to be talking about. We're also getting into some news about Antonio Brown, Kawhi, and just one final update about this Michael Rappaport, Kevin Durant drama that ensued last week. But before we do that, subscribe to our channel, tap the bell for notifications, give this video a thumbs up, and leave a comment below. Here's the Fumble Squad. I'm Devin Howard. You can find me on Instagram as @DevinHoward.
Morning, everybody. I'm Jackie Ray. You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter @JRayTheFanatic.
So, Jackie, how'd the weekend turn out? Any luck finding an apartment?
No. I just gotta, let me take that back. Yes, but I just don't want to drive like an hour. Once we get back into the studio, I don't want to drive an hour back in. So now I've got it. And I really hate living in Hollywood, but geographically speaking, it's the best location. So I just got to figure my life out is all. Because it'll be 15 minutes. It's 15 minutes on a Sunday to get there. But once traffic returns, that's like an hour and a half out here in LA. So I just got to make it make sense.
Yep, I understand. It's tough living all the way where I do. It will take me like half an hour to get there in the morning at 6 or 6:30 a.m. But then the drive home ends up taking an hour, which is so frustrating and annoying. But I chose to live over here, so I can't complain about it, I guess. But let's get into this first need-to-know news update, you guys. Let's talk about Antonio Brown. Excuse me. So the Seahawks are apparently ready to swoop in on Antonio Brown. So they signed tight end Gerald Everett and guard Gabe Jackson in free agency, and the Seahawks are trying to continue to build around Russell Wilson and keep him happy. So now they have their eyes on Antonio Brown. He's a free agent. He helped win the Super Bowl. He had a solid year last year. And if he remains unsigned by the Bucs, the Seahawks are ready to swoop in on him. They're looking to add him as a way to make amends, I think, with Russell Wilson and smooth out some of the frustrations that he has been feeling that we've talked about a lot. He aired a lot of the problems that he had with the team, especially referring to how many times he got hit, and said that he wants more involvement in the team's personnel decisions. As we know, things kind of got a little bit tense and a little bit, angry, which is very uncharacteristic for Russell Wilson. But now it seems like they're doing what they can to give him the weapons that he needs, and they think Antonio Brown could be that person. So let's talk. Sorry, I'm like losing my voice right now. Let's talk about if this would be enough to make Russell Wilson happy. Jackie, do you think that adding Antonio Brown would be a bonus for Russell?
That's an interesting question, because if his concern is, all the hits that he was taking, and I think he did have the second most hits in the league as far as quarterbacks last season, second or third. He was up there though. He was getting hit a lot. So if that is your concern, then your wide receiver's that's not going to help you do that, because you still need to get time to get the ball to your wide receiver. So now you're talking about, I don't know, maybe changing up your center, your left tackle, something like that. So I'm not entirely sure what his entire gripe is. If that's what your gripe is, we need to bring someone in besides Antonio Brown. That being said, though, yes, I do think Antonio Brown would be a good addition for them, because now you actually have three solid receivers with the DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. So yes, in that aspect, it's good. But you really should probably address, he's right, he did take a lot of hits. You need to address that first, in my opinion, because we've seen people like Tom Brady with kind of okay wide receivers, but all the time in the world. You can really make okay wide receivers look really good if you have the time to get the ball to them. So I'm just a little confused as to why Antonio Brown would be his first choice, because his first choice, in my opinion, should be getting him some more protection so he has the time to, because he is a shorter quarterback. He needs all the time he can possibly get so he can get that ball downfield. So I'm just a little confused why that would be, one of the people he would want to go to. I do think he's right, though, as far as the culture and this new Antonio Brown that we're seeing. If that Antonio Brown maintained, then he would be a good fit. But I do also think a lot of the new Antonio Brown that we're seeing is directly tied to Tom Brady. So I don't know it's a big question mark for me. I don't know what else to say outside of that. It's a big question mark for me.
Yeah, I agree with you on that about Antonio Brown. I mean, let's not forget, Antonio was living with Tom Brady. Tom Brady really took him in a big way. In every sense of the word, Tom Brady took him in and kind of helped, not necessarily rehab him, but kind of like helped him, I guess, acclimate and kind of get his mind right and focused on the game and on the sport. So it is an interesting thought that he may be moving again. I wonder if that's going to be the best choice for him, because it feels like he fell into a nice groove in Tampa Bay. So going all the way across the country to Seattle would be a big move, and he would be without that one person that was really taking him under his wing. So, and I believe that Russell Wilson would probably be able to offer that same sort of like comfort and maybe the same sense of stability that Tom Brady gave him. But I just wonder how that would even turn out. Do you think that the Bucs would even consider not re-signing Antonio Brown in his free agency?
That all depends on Tom Brady. Tom Brady is the reason why Antonio Brown is in Tampa Bay. So Tom Brady's going to be the reason that he stays. And Antonio Brown has made it very, very clear that he wants to stay. So this is what I'm saying. Like, I like Antonio Brown. If you guys are new here, you might not know that, but I do very much like Antonio Brown. But his personality is volatile. It needs some level of consistency to maintain. We have seen a happier, very much mentally more healthy Antonio Brown. So now we have to really ask the question, and I hate to just put it out there like this because we don't know how far he's developed, what kind of work he's done on his own outside of Tom Brady. But then you do have to wonder, we've seen one of the reasons why Antonio Brown became this kind of unstable guy is because things didn't go the way that he wanted them to go in Pittsburgh. So now you get him over to Tampa Bay, things are going the way that he wants. Now, what he wants is to stay. So if he ends up in Seattle, is he going to revert back to the guy that we've seen him to be when things don't go exactly his way? And I can tell you right now, Sierra is not letting Antonio Brown move into Russell Wilson in her house. That's not going to happen. So I just don't know, and I'm proud of him because we haven't seen him so out in front as far as on social media and being crazy on social media. So I'm proud of him for that. But I just don't know. I don't. That would be a question if I was in that front office for Seattle. I would have to ask. But as far as in Tampa Bay, you are pretty much ensured that he's going to stay on the straight and narrow path because you proved to him that you want him there. That's going to make him happy. And then the relationship with Tom Brady, it works. It is what it is. It just works, So if he can stay in Tampa Bay, he'll be fine. I'm not saying he wouldn't be fine in Seattle. I'm saying I just don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. It's a big question mark for me too. Another team that's a little bit, or I guess maybe I should say another player that's a little bit more of a question mark is Kawhi Leonard. Let's get into our next need to know news story. So Kawhi made the jump from Toronto to LA knowing that the Clippers needed to make improvements in order to be a championship winning team. They had a disappointing end to the last season, and they don't really seem to be improving that much or doing much better this season. They have a win percentage of 64% right now, and the team spends a lot of time relying on Kawhi, and he has shown that he can be, the best player on a championship winning team. He did that in Toronto. He really impressed all of us. But he's also kind of injury prone, and we know that he doesn't like to overexert himself during the regular season so that he really can go as hard as possible in the postseason. But if the Clippers do get out before the Western Conference Finals, Kawhi may decide that the franchise hasn't done enough in order to build a title contending team. Even though they've tried, it seems like they're trying to piece together a solid roster, but something is still not working there. We know Kawhi moved away from San Diego. He bought that house in the Pacific Palisades like we talked about pretty recently. So he's doing what he can to show that he's also ready to show up for the team and be on time for those practices that apparently people were frustrated that he was late for in the past, which I don't blame them for being frustrated by that. Yes, superstars get special treatment, but I think that would be tough because that drive from San Diego to LA is a rough one. But there is a reason that Kawhi was so hell-bent on the player option in the third year of his contract, and if the Clippers' title dreams are dashed again, he might decide that it's time to go. It sort of feels like the clock is ticking a little bit for Kawhi and the Clippers. So what do you think he's going to do, Jackie? Do you think he'll stick it out with the Clippers, or do you think that he'll be entertaining other options?
I absolutely think he'll be entertaining other options. I said that if you guys saw the story I did on Sunday, I was like, he's out. If they don't win it, and I don't even mean make a deep run. I don't even mean going to the finals. If they don't win it all, Kawhi is out. Kawhi basically played sick in San Antonio so he could get out. And then he had no intentions of staying with the Raptors. He had every intention of coming to LA. He wants to win in LA. So I think that might be the one thing that might make him hold on. But like you said, there's a reason why he wanted that third year option. With that too, I would say on the surface, I think the team that he has here in LA with the Clippers is, I don't even know how I want to say it, but I do think it's a more solid team than what he had with what was that, the 2018-2019 Raptors. But they weren't. That was a squad. You know, they had Kyle Lowry, Danny Green, Pascal Siakam, and Serge Ibaka. That was a squad. And I'm not saying he doesn't have a squad here. I'm saying that for whatever reason, the chemistry worked better over there. We didn't hear nothing about things going on in the locker room, people not getting along. We didn't hear anything about Kawhi, not wanting to show up on time. All the things that we're hearing here in LA, we didn't hear over there. So it kind of makes me wonder if Kawhi is the common denominator, if he thinks that, if he kind of went into the situation saying, oh, I'm here now, I'm the reason why this franchise, maybe his head got a little bit too big. I'm not saying, look, I don't want y'all coming for me in the chat, but it just seems like he's the odd denominator in this one. I have to put a lot of this on him because he came in here with the big head. He came in here thinking like, okay, watch this. Y'all ain't going to be talking about the Lakers anymore. No, we talking about how you lost to Denver. That's how we talking about now. So I think he is the negative common denominator for the Clippers. I don't know that for sure, but with all the things that we've said, because everyone said once Trez left, everything was going to be good because he was the one that was toxic in the locker room. Well, Trez is gone. So what you blaming it on now? So I think it's Kawhi personally. And I think the Clippers should not if he wants to leave, y'all should let him go. For one, if he doesn't want to be here, don't hang on to him. And for two, you kind of have to look at your organization and say, hey, they've gone missing. I think they're like second to last defensively, especially in clutch moments in the fourth quarter. It's second to last. That's insane. You've got all these, like I've said it time and time again, you got all these weapons in your arsenal, but no bullets in the fourth quarter. That doesn't make any sense. So I think if he wants to go, the Clippers should be like, give him a hug and wish him well and let him go, because he seems to be what's causing this ripple effect with the Clippers to me.
Interesting. Yeah, and we've talked about that a bunch on the channel before. Like, what is the reason for the Clippers, inability to kind of build that chemistry and really work together as a whole team? Do you feel that Kawhi maybe regrets leaving the Raptors at all, or do you think that he's still happy he made the jump to LA?
I think on a personal note, given where, he went to San Diego State, and so I think on a personal note, he's happy to be back close to his family and things of that nature. But something, I don't know, we don't know. And I like that because outside of what we heard from the bubble, we don't really know a lot of ins and outs. We have heard people say that there's conversations that get heated when they're standing right outside of the locker room for the Clippers. And that doesn't mean anything. That happens pretty much with every organization. But I'm saying there is something that is not quite firing on all cylinders here, the way we saw it fire in Toronto. So again, I don't know what that is. I can't pinpoint it on anything. I can just say everybody pinpointed it on Montrezl Harrell, and he's gone now. So you got to go down the list after that. You got to just say, okay, we said it was him. He's gone. It's not him. You can't blame Lou now because Lou, so you got to kind of go down the list. And now once you're the leader of the team, if we start shipping off all these pieces and these problems still exist, we have to look to you. Whether we want to or not, you have to look at Kawhi, because now we just shipping off pieces and nothing's changing. So I think you have to look at Kawhi.
Yeah, I mean, I think so too. And we like Kawhi, but I think, on the one hand, I love that he keeps such a low profile, but on the other, since he is such a quiet, unassuming person, really doesn't say much, no social media presence, we're left to our own devices to kind of determine what he's like in the locker room and behind the scenes. And, maybe there's more drama than we even realize, more tension, more negativity. I don't really know, but it'll be interesting to see what happens after this season. I agree. If the Clippers do not make it to the Western Conference Finals, I think Kawhi is going to be out. He's going to be looking elsewhere. And, I think that'll be the true test. If he ends up with a different team, are they going to be able to be a title contending team? And if so, is it because of Kawhi, or is it, because he joined a super team or whatever it is? But, it'll just be a very interesting thing to watch and see how it all unfolds. Okay, let's move on to this last story, you guys. Now, we've been talking about KD and Michael Rappaport since all of this went down. Michael Rappaport blasted those private DMs between he and KD all over social media. We've discussed how Michael just put up posts that really only showed the worst sides of KD and very little of what Mike said. So it's obviously a one-sided story. KD was fined, I think it was $50,000 for the use of, I think they cited homophobic like slurs or phrases or whatever. So he received a $50,000 fine for that. And now Michael Rappaport feels bad about it. He is feeling a little bit guilty, although this is maybe one of the worst apologies I have ever seen. So Leo, can you roll that clip for us?
I don't consider him a friend. The way he was talking to me is not like a person who was a friend. I don't speak to friends like that. I don't banter with friends telling them, yo, when I see you, I'm going to spit in your face. Ha, ha, ha. Oh, cool. When you spit in my face, I'm going to swish it around and spit in your face. That's not the way I banter. That's not the way I bullshit. That's not the way, that's not locker room talk. Those are threats. They were made over and over and over. It's been going on for months. And on Tuesday of this week, he caught me on a bad day. That being said, in my opinion, the whole situation got blown out of proportion.
So I think it's just funny the way he's like, Jackie. It's funny. He's like,
everything about that was it's just dripping with, I felt like I had to say something, but I'm not going to say anything with any real substance. This man is a joke. I don't know how he remains relevant. Actually, I do. The reason why he remains relevant is because he spits out rhetoric. What we saw from KD is very mild compared to some of the things that Michael Rappaport says. And now he's, go ahead, Devin. I just can't stand this man with all that is within me, but go ahead with what you were going to say.
No, I like hearing what you have to say, Jackie. Go off. Keep it coming. What else do you want to say?
Just a terrible, I don't really say things about people like this, but he's a terrible human being. He always finds that moment. He's very good at looking at that crack and saying, ooh, I can say this one thing that's going to antagonize people on one side or the other. And then on the same side, he's really good at being like, now's the time for me to play the victim. He talks from both sides of his mouth. I don't like people like that. This man is awful.
I think it's so funny the way he, in this video, is like, these are threats that were made over and over again. Like, Mike, you really were not reading these DMs and feeling threatened. Like, we just know that. I don't know. It's just so silly to me. This was technically his apology. He just thinks it went too far. My biggest question for him is, what did he think was going to happen? When he put up these screenshots, these messages from KD, one of the biggest names in the NBA, and, people are obviously going to turn it into something. It's not like people are going to look at that and be like, interesting, and then scroll past and move on. So weird. I don't understand this. That's all I have to say on that.
If you're sorry, Michael Rappaport, run me my money back. Run me my $50,000 back that I had to pay out because you decided to be an idiot. And other than that, I'm not accepting your little whack apology. This man is terrible. You can make payments. You can make payments, $5,000 a month for the next 10 months, but run me my money back if you're that sorry.
Good plan, Jackie. I like that plan. And it's funny because right away after all of this went down, KD did say like, hey, we do this all the time. Like, we're just talking trash. I apologize. And maybe that wasn't a very sincere apology, but at least he said it. Meanwhile, Michael Rappaport's getting on his Instagram being like, KD still sucks. He's not my friend. Like, he was threatening me, but I feel bad. Like, all right, dude, there was no point in posting that video at all. He should have just let it go. This, for me, was a major say less moment.
Right.
But that's all I got to say on this KD Michael Rappaport drama. Hopefully we don't ever have to talk about this again. But now it's time to get into the post-up.
Yes, let's lighten things up with something funny, because Michael Rappaport, not funny. I don't even know why he talks. But this is probably the most hilariously awkward moment I've seen on IG Live. Paul Pierce was, I guess, living his best life, sorta, in a week. Let me just show you the video. This happened on Friday night, and it was like 1:00 in the morning or something like that. Take a look. It's weird. Take a look.
Come on, man. On you, bro. What you do? What's the call?
Monica, you should be here. You could make some money, girl. Stop playing. Monica, what you doing?
You guys throw some fucking chips, man.
If you in LA, come through.
Chips, look down.
If you in LA, Monica, come through. You know what I'm saying?
Where's she at? Paying fucking hundreds of thousands of dollars, can't even throw a fucking chip.
Wait up. I can't see.
Hey, I want 10% commission.
They hit me with chips.
Yeah, that's my question. What is going on? What is going on? How do you say, Monica, come through, girl, you can make some money? In the background, there's a girl half naked and people throwing chips at her. Not dollars, chips. I'm trying to understand, Devin. What, and there's only 310 people that was watching it at that time. Tell me, I don't understand. What happened?
I think that he probably had a few too many drinks, didn't think critically about what he was going to do. Because let's not forget, this man is married. He is a married man. So I'm sure he's probably going to be in the doghouse with his wife after all of this. I don't know what he was thinking. And also the massage that he was getting from that stripper looked like a terrible massage. Terrible.
Horrible.
All she was doing.
It's like that cat massage. When you have a cat, they do that. They just press on you like, this is my cat massage. What is this?
Like if she's there, she's getting paid, put a little muscle into it. Jeez.
Elbow. Come on, lean into it. Do something. And the fact that she was like, Monica, come through. You could get paid too, girl. We are not in this isn't zombie times. You can't pay me in chips. I need like some actual cash. That's first and foremost. And I saw some people in that feed saying that. They were saying, hey, you aren't you married? Don't you have a whole wife? He's like, I do not care. He's just out here doing that. But that happened at, like I said, like 1:00 in the morning. And then here, let's take a look at his next tweet that came out. He said, this one says, Paul Pierce has the best IG live of 2021. Best IG live of 2021? No, absolutely not. And then he says, good morning. I don't know if you guys can see down there, but it says 7:50 p.m. is when he said good morning. So how long did this party go? Oh my God. This is tragic. This is tragic. I don't know. I'm confused by it, but I guess go off. Paul Pierce, do your thing. All right, let's go into this next one because, in all honesty, with LeBron out and AD out, I kind of thought that we would be the ones losing by 50-something points this weekend, but no, we only lost by 22, which is not horrible considering we wasn't playing with anybody. But the Warriors weren't playing with anybody either. Steph is out, obviously. Draymond's out. Clay's out. So 53 points is how much they lost by. That is a lot. It was 130-77. That's the final score on the Warriors versus the Toronto Raptors. That is asinine to me. And so I'm going to go back to what we said before. I just don't know if this is your reaction on the sideline watching, because we've seen Steph on the sideline look like, what is happening? What's going on? That did not happen in this 53-point loss. Take a look.
Like what? I go hard no matter what. I think Steph likes it. What is he doing? Steph is still having.
That's too much fun. That's what I expect you to look like when you winning by 53 points. That is not how I expect you to look when you losing by 53 points. But some people were okay with it. Some people just said it's probably him just chilling because he knows they're going to be back next season. So let me show you a little bit of what Twitter had to say about it. Said, man, look at Curry. He don't even care that we lost by 53 because he know we going to be the scariest team next season when Klay comes back. And then at least one Warriors fan is realistic and says Klay won't fix all of our problems, which I think is a factual statement. And then now let's go to this next one because I do agree with this one. Y'all know that I'm a diehard LeBron fan, so that's probably why I found this tweet. But I very much agree with this next tweet. If we could throw that up real quick. Or maybe we don't have it. Basically, it said that if LeBron... here we go. If that was LeBron, the media would crucify him and call him a loser and how he doesn't take anything serious and wants to joke about a loss. But since it's Steph, it's all good. I actually low-key agree with that. But this last one, though, is I think what's important. Because Klay had the reaction that I think we would expect Steph to have. We've actually seen Steph have this reaction before. So take a look at this.
Him playing this way, I think it really bodes well for the future. And as a man who wants to...
That's how I expected Steph to look. That's how Steph looked the last time. So I'm just going to put this all out there. I'm going to put a rumor out there. Could it be that Steph doesn't look all upset about it because he knows he's just counting down to the end of the season and then he's out? Uh-oh. Devin?
I'm going to respond to that, Jackie. I don't think that Steph would be so open about that. Like, he wouldn't let those emotions out if he really was planning on leaving. I think Steph is staying with the Warriors, but I think he has resigned to the fact that the team is just not that great this season, and he's not going to go out there and get upset and frustrated and feel all that negativity, so he's just going to make the most of it and laugh as his team flounders. I think that's more like it.
Okay. I like my rumor better. No, I'm kidding.
I do too. Your rumor is way more fun, I wanna say.
Right? Yes. All right, but I don't know. I mean, that was a very interesting moment in time. Again, I could see him feeling that way if they were losing by like 20 because you understand what it is. But 53, you got to be like, okay, what is going on? All right, but let's go to one of my favorites in the league, Damian Lillard. He decided to clap back at a fan who tried to clap at him for his accomplishments, because Dame is always doing a music some sort of album, or he's dropping singles or whatever. So this fan decided to say something that I thought was way out of pocket, but let's get that up there and then see how Dame clapped back. So he says, got a soundtrack for you. 1, Curry owns me. 2, no rings. 3, I'm overrated. 4, no finals. 5, 10 and 0 FT final total Warriors big 4. So Dame claps back and he says, I'm going to touch 400 million before I'm 35. End of soundtrack. My kids only people who own me, baby. Let that marinate like neck bone juice. I love that. I love that. There's nothing else needs to be said because this guy, again, probably know what he looks like in his mom's basement. So that's all I'm going to say about that one. But let's go on to this next one because I love this next one because Jimmy and Bam seem to have this chemistry that is all playful and all good, and I love it because they seem to get along really, really well. But Bam seems to think that if you are not fully dressed, you should not do an interview with the press. I disagree, but take a look.
What's up? Jimmy Butler is kind of half nude.
No, I'm not. Get out the way, man. I'm gonna do my media. This how I came in today. This how I'm going out.
That's crazy.
Should I zoom in?
No. Let it know.
What? That's how I walked in today. Hey, man, I respect it, man. Exactly. You are. That's like it's... What, man?
Yo, what the hell are you
This
wearing?
is how I came in today.
Oh my God.
This is how I came in.
Why are you guys asking him questions like this?
Because they want to talk to me, no matter what I got on, or lack of thereof.
I actually love this. I am not upset. Now, I probably would feel different if Tyler Hero came out like that. I definitely would feel different. But I'm not mad at Jimmy coming out like this. Devin, what do you think of this one?
I'm not mad. Wait, am I muted? Okay, so I accidentally muted for a second. I'm not mad about that at all. I thought that was funny.
Yeah, he did come in that way. He did come in shirtless. So I see Gary Turbo in the chat says Jackie is enjoying that. I am. I actually am. I saw somebody on Twitter. I don't know if you remember. I actually have the GQ spread where Colin Kaepernick was, those nude spreads that they do where you just have the ball and you're turned perfectly. I actually have that. I don't have the one with Dwayne Wade. Apparently Dwayne Wade did one. I did not see it. But someone on Twitter said that Jimmy Butler should be the next one to do that, tastefully nude spread in GQ. I see no lies in that statement. I actually would be okay with that. And that would be the second GQ half naked spread that I have. That Colin Kaepernick one was something else, though. Let's move on to this next one because this one I actually thought was fake. I thought it was one of those things, how people will screen grab something, change it up, and then put it back out there and trick everybody to make you think it's real, and it's actually not. This is real, and I feel some type of way about it. So look at this. So it's just going down the list of injuries, knee, whatever, a knee again, foot, and then when it gets down to Al Horford, it just says old. So I was like, who in the hell made this? That is rude. Al Horford is 34. LeBron James is 36. I was like, no, this is fake. Let me go find out who made this because I know it's fake. Turns out it's actually real. It's actually real. They actually made this graphic to come up and say just because he's old. And technically it's actually true because the Thunder apparently sat Al Horford because they wanted to evaluate younger players so they could see what they needed to do in the draft. So yes, they did sit him because he was old, but I just feel like you could have said something different. Anything different. I don't know how I feel about being on the sideline and seeing a graphic come up that says, oh, he's out because he's old. I don't know. Devin, am I overreacting? That's a lot.
It's a lot. I mean, it's a little harsh. But I also think it's funny that they cite old as the reason he's out when he's 34. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, 34 is still so young. Yes, in basketball years, it's different. But we've got LeBron out there. He's 36. I mean, he's still killing it. He's kicking.
Yeah, I put my investigative hat on, thought I was going to come up here and be like, I found the guy who made this fake graphic. Nope, they actually put that on TV that my man was out because he's old. That is rude and disrespectful. I don't. It's funny, but it is rude and disrespectful, and I don't like it at all. Okay, so hopefully you guys were all on Instagram this weekend, and you saw that UCLA game because that was the UCLA and Gonzaga game. That was insane. There were so many y'all go to Sports Center Instagram. There were so many people who either put money on that game or went to UCLA whose entire heart was breaking. And it was hilariously sad as well. But we all saw that moment. If you didn't, you probably saw when UCLA had tied it back up. They had like 1.3 seconds. They were going back down. Jalen Suggs just chucks it up. Looks like it's going to be one of those things that the buzzer goes, now we're going into double overtime. But nope, actually goes in, and the most silencing move I've seen in NCAA history. It was fantastic. Hearts were breaking all over California for sure. But he had this moment, and Bleacher Report, of course, talked about it, said Jalen Suggs had his Kobe D. Wade moment tonight, and then they showed him standing up there, and he was just so emotional. Shout out to his teammates, though, too, because they were very careful. They wanted him to come down, but they were very careful not to grab him too hard to make him plummet on either side. Very careful about that. But I just wanted to make sure that we understood that it's not just Dwayne Wade and Kobe. LeBron James actually had that moment as well. You guys knew I was going to find a way to throw LeBron James up in there. But this is a moment. You see how, go back to that other tweet, that first one, Leo? I just want you guys to see how careful his teammates are. They're just like, okay, we're going to let you have this moment. Because we don't want you to fall. That's how you plan for the future. You don't let your guy that just made that winning shot, you don't have him fall while he's up on that thing. That was amazing. If you guys have not seen the end of that game, make sure you go watch it. It is amazing. Devin, I love this Dwayne Wade one. This camera angle is just insane. But I love the LeBron one too, because that was the one that LeBron brought to the land, and it was amazing. But did you see the end of that game?
Yes, I saw it. And I was with a few friends, and I was like, kind of half watching, half socializing, and I caught it right as Jalen hit that buzzer beater, and it was so amazing and so close, just like a very wild moment. I loved watching that. Very, very impressive.
Yeah, I was watching it as well, but I was like watching and working on some other stuff as well. So I stopped working when we got down to those last couple seconds because I was like, oh dang, it's gonna go into another overtime, so blah blah blah. And then all of a sudden here in Hollywood, it just like all you heard was oh, like somebody just collectively hit 100 people straight in the gut. It was the most hilarious. It was one of those moments where I was like, damn, I wish I was recording so you could have just, it was literally just like, oh, like, oh man. That's one of those moments. It might not ever come again, but that is one of those moments. So shouts out to him. I can't wait to see this next game because they're definitely going into it with all the momentum. I said before that Timmy looks like he should be coaching Gonzaga, not actually playing for them, but he carried that team most of that game. So they definitely played as a team. So shouts out to them. That was dope. Now let's get into this because I think it's been about a year because I think we were in the studio the last time something like this came up. And we had this whole conversation about to tip or not to tip. That is the question. So Tyreek Hill has been blasted for not leaving a tip. A lot of people were coming at him and just saying, you know, why didn't you leave a tip with all the money that you make? He apparently went out with his girlfriend on Friday night to a restaurant and he didn't leave a tip. So then he posts this kind of talking about the situation. He says, I let my girl do all that. Trust me, if you did a good job, she would have tipped you. And then that link is supposedly taking you to the tweet where they show it, but it's since been deleted. But I do have a copy of it coming up. But so this is the one where you see the copy and it says 1, that's the customer copy, not the merchant copy that the customer side. 2, that's not his signature. 3, if your goal was to tell him this, why not DM him instead of putting him on blast? Is this yours or did someone send this to you and you posted it? So let me, I think I might have had a whole screenshot, but there is a whole screenshot where it's just $61 and it's a 0 tip. So Tyreek Hill claps back again. He says, everyone relax. Dude ain't do his job. So no tip. So of course, Twitter was like, no, that's not how you do things when you make the kind of money that you make. So we had a couple responses from them. And this one says, bro, not doing your job is not showing up, not bringing you food and drinks and ignoring you. You have to tip servers even when they suck at their job. A 0 tip is what you give when you walk out due to bad service. A 10% tip lets the server know they suck at their job. Okay, so then one more person had something to say. And then this one said, Tyreek, that's weak. You don't know the day that dude may have had or what he was going through. I don't make blank and tip at least 25% every time, regardless of service. Shaking my head. Okay, let's get into it because we've seen this come up. It obviously doesn't come up for the rest of us because we're just normal people. Servers might get mad at us, but no one's gonna blast us if we do or do not leave a tip. I personally, I'm like that first person. If your service is bad, if I've got to keep asking 4 or 5 times, if people around me are getting served, I will tip you, but it's usually like 8%. I don't do 10%, but I will give you like an 8% tip to let you know, hey, you're trash. Because to me, sometimes it would be better to give 0 than just to give a little bit because that little bit is a slap in the face. So I'm trying to send that message with a little bit. But tipping is not required. I mean, it's strongly suggested. And most restaurants nowadays, especially out here in LA, they add the gratuity on. So you can literally put 0 in there and walk out and feel fine about it. But Devin, what do you think? If the service was really, really bad, do you leave some sort of tip or do you not leave a tip at all? And should you be judged for that?
Okay, so I want to preface this by saying I do hate the tipping culture in America. I think that needs to shift dramatically. We need to up minimum wage so that the diners are not responsible for making up, a huge portion of the income for the wait staff at a restaurant. I lived in Australia where tipping is really not common and the minimum wage was like $25 an hour. So that just makes a lot more sense to me. I think that's a better way to do things. But because we do live in a society where tipping is something that you really are expected to do. Yeah, it's not mandatory, but you are expected to do it. I think that even if the service is absolutely terrible, 10% is a reasonable tip to give, and it does send the message that you are really unhappy with the way things played out. Unless the person was like blatantly racist or homophobic or, you know, extremely, extremely rude. That's the only time I could justify not leaving a tip at all. But yeah, I think that especially if you're somebody in the public eye, you can't go around leaving $0 as a tip. That's just not acceptable. You're going to be put on blast for that. And it's also just like, it's rude because, yeah, you don't know what kind of day that person was having. You don't know what they've been going through. So if they gave you bad service or they weren't super pleasant to be around, could have been because of something going on. So 10% really is the minimum. I am always astounded when athletes and celebrities do this kind of thing. How do you tip? How do you not tip on a meal? It's just, you make so much money. It's like not going to hurt you that much, you know?
Yeah, I think, and football players sometimes, I think, you know, they do have a little bit easier of a time than, say, like a celebrity, someone who's in a movie or something like that, because we do see your face all the time. Football players, sometimes you kind of have to really look to be like, oh, and, you know, unless you're talking about Tom Brady or something like that, or Cam Newton or something like that, who are very recognizable figures. Sometimes if you just don't know, you might have to do a double take. So I've always said that these athletes should have a DBA. They should have a business and then go get you a business card and put it. So that way, when you're signing on something, it's your card doesn't say your name, because, you know, that's how they see your name is when you run your card, it says your name. But you need to protect yourself from these kinds of moments. And you should know too, and I get what he's saying, because he probably does leave that up to his girlfriend. And if his girlfriend was complaining the whole time and she was like, I don't want to tip him, he's probably not going to fight her on that. But when it's your name on it, you probably need to be a little bit more mindful. I saw this is it in the chat. He says a tip is more like a reward. So if someone does a poor job, why would you reward them? Which is kind of where I fall. And I get it. I know that they make next to nothing, but at the same time, you know, you make next to nothing. So why not make sure you're doing everything you can to make sure you earn that tip? And I get it, because sometimes you might go out there and you're right. He might have been having a bad day because he might have been doing an amazing job for about 10 different tables, and 10 different tables tipped him poorly. And now he feels some type of way. So you really don't know what kind of day someone's having. But both sides, I can see both sides of the story. Not the 0 tip, but I definitely can see leaving a bad tip. But let's go on to this next one, because I'm with Cam Akers on this one. I'm not trying to do that. And I was reading when you're single, you read the most random things. It's like your Instagram wants you to read stuff that's tragic. But I read something like a really high percentage of Black women who are educated never get married. And I was like, what the hell? So I got so upset about that, because I'm single and I'm like, what are you trying to say, Instagram post? But Cam Akers feels the same way. He's single right now. And so he responded to somebody about the single life. And so he says, I want a girlfriend. And this guy says, I'm pushing 30. Never had one. Chase that money and dream, man. A girl will come along eventually. And Cam says, with all due respect, I'm not trying to be like you, bro. Yes, I'm not trying to be one of these people. I understand that whole article was giving accolades to like Black women saying, oh, they out there doing their thing. I don't care. I don't want to be in this article next year. I don't want to be able to relate to this article next year to some bull. Yes, no, I don't like it. So I'm with Cam on this one. Not trying to be like y'all. So there. This last one though, I actually sent this one to our producer, because I was like, this is insane. This is one of those things when you first look at it, I was like, okay, here we go again. Somebody going to make me feel like a total weakling. But then I looked at it because I didn't immediately notice what the most important thing is about this video. And the most important thing about this video is none of us have any reasons to make excuses. Anything we want to do, if we set our mind to it, we can do it. I hope y'all feel that when y'all see this video. Take a look.
Arriba, 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 arriba.
Oh my God.
Esa es. Wow. Céntrate. Dale. Bien.
Oh my God.
Wow.
First of all, I was terrified. That was the look on my face. I was like, what? Because I didn't immediately notice he only had one arm until, he did that. And I was like, oh my God, please don't put it over your head. Please don't put it over your head. But yes, No excuse. Like what excuse can you make for anything when you see something like that? No.
Here I am struggling to do. I do like a bicep curl with a 5-pound weight, and I'm like, oh, I can't do it. This guy, meanwhile, like, how much weight was that? That is so wild and so intense. Good for him, though. I mean, that takes a lot of strength.
A lot, because the bar is 45. I didn't see how many, and those plates are 45, I think. I didn't see how many he had, but that was definitely over 300 pounds for sure. Oh, that's insane.
Wow.
So yes, I hope you guys took that message and will apply it to your life. Go ahead and just screenshot it, play it back. Anytime you're telling yourself I can't do something, yes, you can. You just got to find a way, but you can definitely do it. So yes, shouts out to that man for posting that. That was amazing. But let's get into, that's all I got for the post up. So let's get into what we're not going to do, because this one it's something that seems to be happening a lot as of late. And I know we talked about Leonard a while ago. Leonard used that racial slur. Okay, Gary said it looks like 500 pounds. That's insane. I had to take a moment. If that's 500 pounds, that's insane. But we talked about this a while ago, where Leonard said that racial slur that most of us didn't know. I had to look it up. And the reason why we didn't know it is because it's just not that prevalent. So now here we are again. We're in this same situation, different person. So this specific word, this is Carlton Davis from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He issued an apology. This is his first tweet. His first tweet says, "Got to stop letting a G word, which is GOOK, in Miami." Now, when I saw this whole article come out, my first thing was, I didn't realize what the problem was. My family's from the South. If you guys don't know that, I've said that several times. And I was talking to Devin and Leo and Arthi before the show, telling them that my family from the South is Creole, Haitian, and they're from the South. So there's a lot of accents kind of joined together in that language. And usually words just are missing the last letter, if not the last couple of letters. So I had heard this term before. This specific term I had heard when I was a kid, and it was used in the way that Carlton Davis says it was used. So he posted a response to this, basically saying, "Hey, I didn't know this is what this meant." He said, "I would never offend any group of people. You reporters can look for another story to blow up. The term was directed towards a producer claiming he ran Miami. With that being said, I'll retire that word from my vocabulary, given the hard times our Asian family are enduring." So I respect him for that. And so then he posted the definition that he thought it was, which basically meant you're lame. He says it's a term commonly used in South Florida to describe a person who is lame, synonym from lame, fool, whack, or stupid. When I heard it, it meant goofy. You were goofy, kind of lame, that sort of thing. So when I first saw this, I was like, maybe he's reaching. But I was like, would they really write that down? Yep, that is. This is a term that I know. The GOOK word is a word used to describe those who are lame and don't know it. And that's always it. It's always the person, the way that I've heard it, it's always that person that thinks they're doing more than what they are. You're not, you're goofy. So this is the way that I knew it. Come to find out, it also has another term. It also has a whole entirely different definition. It means like a thick, like something that's gooey or like kind of gooped together. Whole different definition. But the definition that some people find offensive is this one. It's used as a foreigner, especially a person of Philippine, Korean, or Vietnamese descent. So it's a slur word. So this is where one of you guys in the chat, and if you're in the chat, I don't remember exactly who it was, but somebody in the chat a while ago said that it is our responsibility to Google every single slur possible so we know what to say and what not to say. So when this story came out, I took that advice. I don't know who you were, so if you are in the chat, please let me know. I took that advice and I did that. And let me tell you something. Don't do that. Don't do that, especially if you're Black. Because if you're Black, the pages you have to go through, there are pages of slurs that I didn't even know that are directed towards Africans and people of African descent. It is insane. It will hurt your feelings it'll make you really wonder why there's so many hateful words directed towards us. It'll be very disappointing, especially when you start to get to the racist terms for other people and you realize there's like 3-4 lines. It's like, why do I got 3 pages? And don't do it. It's not worth it. So I do believe him when he realizes he said something that he didn't know what it meant. Because I had heard this word. I had not heard it used negatively. So I understood what he was saying. So people on Twitter kind of came to his defense because they believe he is a good guy. And they basically said the same thing, that this is a word that you really need to be educated on, because a lot of people in the South probably just had that whole, that rut-row moment because they realized they've used this word a lot. Like I said, my family used it. The only reason that it came to my attention that it was wrong is because my dad was like, that word doesn't mean what you think it means. It means this. He's also a war vet. So for him, he's been around a lot of people that use that word in a negative context. So I think that's the key. My dad could have easily just overlooked this and been like, oh, they're kids. They're not using it the way that I remember it being used when I was overseas. This is just them being kids. No, it is your obligation to correct people, because you don't want people going out there just using this word in one way and it actually means another, even if in their head it means something that is pretty innocent. You have an obligation to correct people. So I think in this instance, this is a good thing, because I think a lot of people, especially in the South, especially some of my family, are going to use this moment and be like, oh, damn, that's not a good thing. I should stop saying that. It's going to be one of those words that's probably just, it's out there. And I think I can give a pass on this one, because the racial slurs that we hear, there's like 3 of them that we know, because we hear them over and over and over again. So those are the ones that trigger us. So sometimes it is harder to see these types of words and know for sure that they mean something different. But that leads me back to Leonard. Now, his word was one that I had to look up because I had never heard before, but we made no allowances for him. And I think that might have been because in the way that he used it, it was like he took a pause and then he used it, almost like he knew it was wrong, but he was just going to use it in either way. But I made no allowances for that man. And especially after hearing Devin kind of talk about what that word meant and what that word, how that impacts her, and the fact that you do have to dig in that in your arsenal, and you probably don't have that word in your vocabulary if you don't know what it means. But now I'm like, okay, so I can definitely forgive Tyreek, more so because I have family in the South and I've heard this word before used in an innocent way. But maybe we all deserve one forgiveness moment. It's kind of where I'm landing on this, because I did not give any. Well, I didn't give any allowances to him because of that. So now I'm wondering maybe if we should have given him an allowance, because again, this is one of those times where I feel like this was definitely an innocent moment in time. I think I do have a couple other tweets, people responding to this. Maybe I don't. But they basically were saying the same thing. You're basically a good dude. We've used the word. I had one tweet where somebody said, I've used the word. I didn't know, but now I know, and I'll stop using it. So this is a good moment in time because it has educated more people who use the word in a way that is not correct. So Devin, I'm going to go to you, because I know we drug Myers Leonard from hell and back for his use of that word, and we were okay with him being swiftly dismissed. Should we have maybe given him? Is it possible that he didn't know what that word meant?
Well, just okay. Go ahead. Finish your question.
Because I do really quickly think that Carlton Davis didn't realize, just in the context that he used it in. I think we can all say that he didn't realize what it meant. But if we give him that pass, shouldn't we have given Myers Leonard that pass?
So, okay, with the Myers Leonard situation, I do feel that at least when we were discussing it, and I think you agreed with me, Jackie, we didn't feel that he used the K word out of a place of deep anti-Semitism. We thought that he was, at least I thought, he was just too stupid to have considered looking it up to make sure it wasn't anything ultra offensive before he used it on a live stream. So I thought that he was just a victim of his own ignorance, which we all have been and will be likely in the future. And I think that's something we should work on. The difference, though, between Myers Leonard's situation and Carlton Davis's situation is that the word that Myers Leonard used has no other connotations. I mean, it means it's an anti-Semitic slur. I actually had never even heard anybody using the word that Carlton Davis has. I've never heard it in my life. So for him to go and look up the fact that it means, you know, lame or whatever it was, but it also is a racial slur against Asian populations, like the fact that there are two different meanings shows that there is room for interpretation. With the N-word, with the K-word, with other, you know, other really awful slurs, there is no room for interpretation. So I don't think that Meyers Leonard needed to be canceled for that. I think and hope he's actually taking up Julian Edelman's invitation to go to a Shabbat dinner, and I hope that he is taking time to learn about it. I think Carlton Davis responded really well to all of this, and the fact that he was able to prove that this word means something else is also, you know, it just proves his point. And so for me, I don't feel quite as strongly about this one. Hopefully, I think the true test will be to see if he uses this in the future, and hopefully he doesn't. Hopefully this should just be out of his vocabulary to avoid any sort of controversy, and also because why would you want to have any sort of racially discriminatory word in your arsenal? Like, just get rid of it. He knows now, and hopefully this has been a learning experience for other people. Like you mentioned, your family in the South might have learned from it.
Yeah, Leo just he just sent us a chat and says, "Wow, you guys don't watch Vietnam War movies." First of all, no, I hate war movies. Ever since Saving Private Ryan, that first beach scene, ever since then, I was like, I'm cool on war movies. This is too much. So that's first of all, no. Aside from that, like I said, my whole family, from my dad back, they have all been in wars. And I know I used to hear Charlie. My mom used to hate that because her name is Charlene, but her nickname is Charlie. But a lot of the old heads, when they were referring to Asian people, that's what they would call them. They would call them Charlie. My mama hated that because she was like, that's my name, you know. So I've heard different terms. I've not heard this one specifically. Just personally, I haven't heard this one specifically. But no, if this is in a lot of war movies, I don't watch war movies. I should probably start. I don't. I watch sci-fi and comedy and murder mystery. That's about it.
Yeah, sorry, Leo. I don't think that we're the Vietnam War movie audience that you're used to, because I don't watch any, like, I watch comedies, pretty much strictly comedies or scary movies, and that's it. So yeah, no, I have never heard this term before. But also, like, that being said, if somebody used this term around me, I wouldn't be like, hey, that's like a cool new offensive word. I can say, I'm going to start saying that. I wouldn't do that, you know? Just stick to the ones that we know what they mean. The B word, the C word, if you really want to, the A word. Go ahead, use those. But we don't need to be bringing in these random ones that we don't know what they actually mean. So, I don't know. I hope this is a learning experience for Carlton, just like I hope it was for Meyers Leonard, and I don't think that we need to cancel either of them for these mistakes, but let everybody just use this as an opportunity to remember that we should have the curiosity and the intellect to look into what we're saying before we say it. But that's all I want to add to that, and I feel like we can wrap up the show now. So you guys, don't forget to subscribe and tap the bell. Leave a comment below, give this video a thumbs up, and share it with your friends. We're going to be back again at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time tomorrow, so tune in. We'll see you guys later. Have a great Monday.